What's up and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how Gearbox ruined farming 3 times. Now, if you're at all familiar with the franchise, you already know what the term farming is. To those who are confused or just maybe don't understand the term completely, the simplest definition I can give you is, it's a term that refers to repeating or performing repetitive actions to gain items or experience in a game. While it may sound boring on surface level, this is a huge reason why a lot of us love these games. And if you wanted to break it down even further, I would just say that we love destroying bosses over and over and over again. The farming inside Borderlands 2, to be more specific, was nailed perfectly, with the targeted loot farming being implemented, and that was a great feature that I don't think any of us were complaining about. For example, Boom and Boom, one of the first bosses that you'll encounter in the game, each of them both have a chance to drop you the legendary grenade mod known as the bonus package. While sure, the odds are low, there's a chance you could actually get 2 legendary bonus packages in one run, and many of you out there, including myself, have seen it happen.
Oh, we got we got it. Wait, yeah. Wait, did we get? We got 2. We got 2.
We got
What?
And sure, it's a super small chance, but there is that little bit of hope that you might get 2. So say you're playing co-op, you may not even have to do this simple duplication glitch that most people do go ahead and take advantage of, just because it's the easiest. If you get a legendary in co-op, go ahead and duplicate it to your friend. That's one of the glitches that I think is completely fine if you're playing co-op, but I digress. That's not the topic of today's commentary. I just think it was nailed perfectly how there may be just a tiny chance that you even get one of these grenade mods, but there's also an even smaller chance that you can actually get 2 in the same run. Or a little further ahead in that same map and story mission, you have Captain Flint, a boss who's a little bit harder to kill than Boom and Boom, that's for damn sure. But he has a guaranteed unique that drops upon every kill, as well as a legendary pistol known as the Thunderball Fist, having a much smaller chance to drop. And I mean a lot smaller. Why is this important? Because it was done right. Since Borderlands 2, we've seen another 3 Borderlands games release. Sure, 2 of them are spin-offs, but they are still very much a part of the mainline series, the pre-sequel being even more important because it's canon to our main story. But in every release since the second game, don't ask me how, but they've managed to ruin an integral piece of the formula that we all know and love. Again and again and again. I'm going to go ahead and split this video into 3 chapters because they've honestly messed the farming system up so many times that here I sit rambling on to you about it. So before I jump right into all 3 times Gearbox has ruined one of our favorite elements of these games, I want you all to give me your thoughts below on how farming has been treated as a mechanic in the series. As I see more and more every day, players starting to realize that the chase that we came to these games for is gone. So let me tell you what happened. Chapter 1, Pre-Sack Hairs. Let's just go ahead and start with the pre-sequel, the first sign of decline. And I want to just preference this by saying the farming and dedicated loot is fixed now for the most part in the game today. Keywords, for the most part. But let's talk about how the game launched. Not only did most bosses not respawn after the first kill, but half of them didn't have shit to drop anyway. How the hell are you going to have the most popular feature in your last title be almost completely absent from your next release? We got 2 raid bosses, one of them just being a repeat of the final boss fight, so essentially take it as if there was a raid boss of the warrior. That's pretty much what we got here. Spoiler alert, by the way, you're just going to end up fighting the Sentinel again, who is the final boss of Borderlands, the pre-sequel. And the other being the Irajira fight. Both of these bosses were enough to settle the community at the time, but there was still no reason to farm them outside of getting legendary gear for the grinder. As I mentioned earlier, they fixed this later on by making many of the bosses respawn and giving the ones that did respawn loot to go for. But if I was saying it didn't hurt the pre-sequel, I'd be lying. Most players didn't care to return to the game by the time everything was fixed. And truth be told, I know this because I didn't even return to the game until I got it 2 years later on the Xbox One, long after the development cycle had wrapped. My favorite game of all time is still the second Borderlands game, and I don't think that's a secret. And the fact that I couldn't even get through the pre-sequel's development cycle should say something. Just let us farm our shit. Don't make us wait for you to fix it. They're only alienating players with issues that simple fixes being included into the game would resolve. But this was just the first nail into our proverbial coffin. Chapter 2, Borderlands 3 Too Many. Well, if the 3 stood for on our way to fucking things up for the 3rd time, then they got it right on the head with this release. So what did they do to reimagine farming in the 3rd game? Well, they made it worse. Also, I just want to give a huge thanks to Morning After Kill for sending over this footage today. I haven't had Borderlands 3 downloaded for a long ass time, so without him, you wouldn't have seen any footage of this game today. So I'm going to go ahead and leave his link below if you guys haven't subscribed to him, which I'm sure most of you already are. I also just wanted to tell him thank you really quickly. He said that I was one of his favorite Borderlands creators, and that means more than you'll ever know, dude. I seriously appreciate that. And to the ones that subscribed afterward, welcome, and I hope you enjoy your stay. With that, let's dive straight into it. Not only can you start the game with legendary gear, a la pre-order bonuses, game of the year garbage, and shit like that, but you'll probably have plenty more legendary items by the time you're level 10. Within 4.5 minutes of gameplay from Mac for today's video, he was able to achieve 6 legendary drops. Not 1, not 2, but 6 damn legendaries. And sure, this is some pretty good luck, but really, with Borderlands 3 loot standards in mind, it's just another day for your average BL3 Vault Hunter. And I don't know about you, more than anything else this game messed up, this just irks me. I understand some think it can be annoying to repeat some bosses over and over again to get a specific item. And hell, maybe farming just isn't for you. But in my personal opinion, if you don't enjoy farming for gear, then maybe the people that this game was made for has either 1, diverted to the most low attention span, average consumer who plays Call of Duty matches that range anywhere from 6 to 15 minutes of play before the match is over. And let's be real, in Borderlands 3, you're basically guaranteed a legendary upon every Call of Duty match length of play. To put it into perspective, let's just say that your homeboy finishes up a game of Team Deathmatch, which if you didn't know is a mode in Call of Duty of 6v6 where your team has to get a certain amount of kills to win the match. That has a limit of about 10 minutes, and on average, the game mode will usually last around 8 minutes. And you just got a legendary a few minutes ago. By the time he swapped over to Domination, a different game mode in Call of Duty, and got halfway through that next match, you have a better chance of seeing another legendary in the time he plays just that half of his next game mode than you don't. And more than likely, you'll see at least another 2 legendaries in total by the time his match ends. And the average time for a domination game is only 18 minutes. You see where the problem lies here? Which is what a lot of the modern gaming market really likes to target, the quick dopamine rushes from games, being able to dominate something in quick fashion and move straight on to something else, whether it be your next Call of Duty match, your next Fortnite squad win, or whatever the hell. To put this into perspective, players from Borderlands 1, 2, and I'm sure even a small amount of players who'd like to do god roll item farms in the pre-sequel, know the amount of dedication and hours of grinding it takes to get what you want. But I'd rather have a chase for a weapon that's going to be far more superior than my current loadout than have badass guns being tossed at me like I'm a toddler who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. While sure, god rolls are even more rare in Borderlands 3, it actually adds to the overall negative I have with it. They made legendary items way more common, but they made the part system more advanced, while adding annoyance, another element, and even more attachments and part accessories that have a chance to roll. So, just to put this into perspective, if you want a perfect version of an item that can roll with any element, you have to roll the right part that you're looking for on top of the right prefix, the right element on top of the anoint that you may need, so on and so forth. While devaluing the legendary gear, they made the perfect variants even more difficult to get. So for anybody saying that farming in Borderlands 3 is better, while you're entitled to your own opinion and there's nothing wrong with that, I feel like Gearbox doesn't even make games for the same audience anymore. They continue to prove, in my opinion at least, that they don't really care what the fans like. They'd rather see more money, less players. Then more players, less money. And you may think I'm stupid or naive for even saying that, because obviously they're a business, they're gonna want money. And while Borderlands 3 has a very active player count, for how long is what I want to know. Borderlands 2 sustained the same amount of players in its first 3 to 4 years of being out as Borderlands 3 is doing currently. So for the mainline series, it's doing as expected, not breaking any barriers or completely flopping. Notice I mentioned the annoyance, but I didn't even delve into that system. Yeah, I didn't need to. If I really started going in on my feelings about how they overcomplicated and over-diluted the parts and attachments in this game, this video would probably be 30 minutes long. So let's just act like it didn't happen. Not because I'm defending the game, but I'd rather not just turn this into a BL3 hit piece. But it's our next topic that doesn't sound too good on paper. Chapter 3. Whatever the hell a Wonderlands is. It just shouldn't have existed. Let's be honest. For starters, loot luck. If you don't know what loot luck is, you basically have to collect all these different lucky dice around the map, and it's going to increase this system in the game called loot luck, and it's going to give you better odds at getting legendaries and purples and shit like that. The further loot luck, the more dice you find, the better your odds are going to be. And before I collected a substantial amount of dice to increase this new metric, I actually was fooled into thinking that farming may have been back. That the legendaries weren't going to drop every time I turn around. But once you did collect enough dice, it quickly became Borderlands 3 meets Dungeons and Dragons, my friends. Not only was the game extremely easy, but the legendary gear was far too common for my liking, and even the purple and blues are thrown out like candy being given to a child. And I haven't even mentioned the damn Chaos Chamber yet. The repeatable in-game content that has you take on randomized dungeons for a reward room at the end, where you can spend some of the points you earned during the challenge on these barf bunnies. While I think it's a really interesting idea, and the Chaos Chamber provides just enough challenge if you do the elite encounters and make it hard, you have to, make it hard yourself. Because this game does plenty of hand holding just like Borderlands 3. But at least they give you the option to make the Chaos Chambers kind of difficult. And while a really interesting idea, these barf bunnies just spit out far too many legendaries for my liking. Much like Borderlands 3, the common blue and purple items can get you through a majority of, if not all of the content. So when you start throwing legendaries at my feet, at the back of my head, and they also end up my ass somehow, I'm going to get tired of it very quickly and just quit the game. It just makes me sick to think about how bad they messed up one of my favorite elements of the Borderlands franchise. And I know I'm not alone in this, as I see the comments about it all the time. Not to mention, they fixed this pretty quick after launch, but you would have to collect these lucky dice on all of your characters to have any good odds at legendaries. So let's say you wanted to have 3 or 4 different characters, you were going to have to go around and collect these dice every single character. If that would have stuck, I would have never even considered playing it longer than a character, which I didn't anyway. I tried to make a second one, but I couldn't get him past level 9. It was just a mid-release, and the loot really wasn't helping matters. Not even to mention, a lot of the bosses were one-time kills with dedicated legendaries in their loot pool, as well as making a lot of the more badass bosses just one-time kills. Toss in the fact that they added a new chaotic variant similar to a moonstone weapon from the pre-sequel, where it's just a better variant of the normal weapon, which in my opinion just overdoes what Borderlands is best at, having a complex but rewarding loot system and gunplay to go along with it. While the gunplay of Wonderlands is fine, melee weapons probably being my favorite, it doesn't matter when acquiring the loot isn't fun anymore. While it's not quite as bad as Borderlands 3 is with the drops, it's damn close when you get your loot luck up. I don't even have mine up all the way in the footage that you're seeing today, and I still got legendaries to drop. So the reason I did call it Borderlands 3 meets Dungeons and Dragons was because I imagined that the drops are the exact same as Borderlands 3 once you get your loot luck maxed out. While I could ramble on about Wonderlands all day, I'd rather ask you a question. How the hell did they manage to botch this so bad? It still boggles my mind. I just pray that they can get it right in the next game. So I have to ask you now, what do you think ruined farming the most? Well, I think all 3 games had something to do with basically pushing the feature further away from the series. I'd like to hear what you think about this video, and do you agree? Or do you think the ease of Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands suits you better? Please let me know why in the comments below. And that's really all I've got for you guys today. I hope you all did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to smash a like on it and subscribe. If you guys are new, I am pushing out at least 2 new videos a week, and maybe a 3rd and 4th if I'm feeling like it. And go follow me on Twitter. The link will be at the top of the description. I'm really trying to experiment with it more. I'm going to start doing some exclusive polls over there so you guys can pick more upcoming videos and stuff like that. And I'm also toying with the idea of a Q&A because we just hit 5K, and I want to say thank you guys for that. I love you all to death. We're going to keep pushing this train as far as we can. I just want to say thank you all. I really appreciate everybody subscribing, liking the videos, commenting, or even if you're not liking or commenting, just thank you for watching. It really means a hell of a lot more than a lot of you will ever know. And I don't really have much more to say. Just like I said, give me your thoughts below. Go follow me on Twitter. We're going to get some more interactions going over there. Exclusive polls and potentially a Q&A. So look out for that. And yeah, that's really it, you guys. I love you all to death. Please stay safe out there. And with that, I will see you all in the next one.